Hi everyone, it's Phil here from Ashland Leather, and I'm back again with some more private stock wallets that I'm really excited to show you. We've got a lot of Giant the Foxes in the batch today, and we're trying to release a bunch new stuff for the holiday weekend here, so expect more drops later this week. Up first today, I've got a really beautiful wallet in a leather that we have not done in a very long time. This is a leather called Chestnut Dublin, and it's pretty similar to the English Tan Dublin, but it's got a little bit more of these reddish tones to it, which are very, very nice. And I've also included a matching Chestnut Dublin on the interior of this John the Fox. We've also hand stained the edges a little bit to match that same color of the Chestnut Dublin. And something I want to mention about the Dublin leather, if you're not familiar with this particular material from Horween leather, it's got a very dramatic grain character. And the Dublin that we picked on this chestnut color happened to be extra dramatic. So you get to see all these bits of peaks and valleys of texture in the leather, and each wallet is a little bit unique. So I've pulled out a second one here to show you. This one's got a little bit less of a dramatic texture, but it's still got a lot of that same look that you can expect from most Dublin pieces. Up next is a fan favorite wallet of the moment. People are very, very interested in this Bugs Moran wallet with the vertical card slots, and we made a special one here in a rare piece of shell cordovan. This is whiskey shell cordovan, which is pretty similar to the natural shell cordovan. So I've got actually a natural shell cordovan lighter sheath here. If you look closely, the whiskey has much more golden tones to it. It's a little bit more yellow, and it's slightly more dark in color. It's also a very dramatic color in terms of the contrast and dynamic range in there. So if you spin this around, some angles is a little bit more brown, like you see here. And then as I spin it, it starts to lighten up very slightly, turns a little bit more golden. And on the inside of this wallet, I mentioned we have the vertical card slots. And this is an orientation of card slots that people have been requesting from us recently. It's pretty difficult for us to make because we need thin pieces of leather for these card holders. You've got two card slots on the left with a hidden card slot underneath. We have the same concept on the right with two card slots and then a hidden one under here as well. And then I mentioned the lighter sheaths. We got a couple special lighters and lighter sheaths going up on the site right now. This is natural shell cordovan on our Bic lighter sheath. We also have a couple other options up on the site right now, including a raw denim, which is very special. Here's a look at another lighter sheath. This one is in reverse black shell cordovan. And let's roll in the Giant of the Foxes here. We've got a bunch of really nice stuff to show you. We're going to start it off with my favorite texture that Horween leather offers. This is a texture called Western. And they press this texture, technically a deboss. I think it's also known as an emboss, depending on how you perceive it. This is my favorite texture that Horween does. They have a bunch of different prints, and I think the most famous one that they have is actually the pebble pattern for the football leather. So if you imagine the footballs, it's the same process that has been applied to press this Western texture onto the shell. The first one that we're going to look at here is Western Cigar Shell Cordovan. And again, there's something about this texture, the way that the light hits off of it makes it look very special to me. I love this look. We also have a cream color stitching on the outside, which is hinting at the natural latigo on the interior, which I think pairs very nicely with the cigar on the outside. And another Giant of the Fox here, this time it's full shell cordovan. We've got Western Color 8, and there's also something about this leather when it's been pressed with any texture, including the Western here. It starts to make the color look a little bit more vibrant. It actually lightens it up a bit. So you get to see a little bit more of these sort of burgundy cherry undertones in the Color 8. So let me spin this wallet around to hopefully demonstrate what I'm talking about. Color 8 shell cordovan is a dark brown and burgundy shade. So as I spin this, some angles it will appear more of that dark brown, and then other angles it might start to appear a little bit more burgundy. This one has a waxed and burnished edge, and then a reverse Color 8 interior, and the interiors here have a really nice dye splatter. And we of course try to cut the Horween shell cordovan ink stamp into nice visible spots like you see in the center here. Another Western texture, this time on natural shell cordovan, which is the lightest shell cordovan color that Horween produces. There are no stains applied to the natural shell cordovan, so you get a really dramatic patina. There's a big potential for patina on lighter color veg tan leathers like this natural shell cordovan here. And then with that Western texture, makes this one a little bit more unique. We've got a cream color stitching on the outside that is hinting at the natural latigo on the inside. And another one to compare to, this is Western Whiskey. That's my tongue twister leather of the day. Western Whiskey on my left hand, and then the Western Natural on my right. You can see the Western Whiskey is much darker, much more of a golden tone. Let's try to spin this guy around also to see that range of color, which is very, very nice. Maybe if I just tilt it back and forth, we'll be able to see the range here. Very nice color, this Western whiskey shell cordovan. Still getting a tongue twister there. I should mention that whiskey shell cordovan is also being produced under the name of bourbon shell cordovan. I just love the name whiskey so much that I'm still calling it whiskey. And on the inside of this Giant of the Fox, we have natural latigo for all the card holders. We also try to cut the ink stamp into good spots on these wallets too. And we were talking about patina. Let's move away from the Western texture for a second. This is raw natural shell cordovan. If you're looking for patina, this is the absolute best piece that I recommend. So very dramatic patina will develop on the raw shell cordovan. It starts off a light natural shade, of course, but it's also raw, meaning that it has not been polished and filled in. So you get the opportunity to develop that patina for yourself. And it also starts off a very matte finish. There's a little bit of sheen to it, but it's not nearly as bright and shiny like a normal piece of cordovan, like this whiskey shell cordovan on my right hand. So you can see just how much more of a matte finish this starts as. But when you wear this raw shell cordovan, it really develops a bright glassy sheen, just like you saw on the normal piece of shell that we just looked at. And here's a look at the interior where we have something special again. We have more of that chestnut Dublin on the inside of this Giant of the Fox, which I think goes very nicely with the raw natural on the outside. And here's another really great color combo. Also raw shell cordovan, but this is on my favorite shell cordovan color, amaretto shell cordovan. There's something about the amaretto shell cordovan where it's got this nice vibrant sort of orangey tan look to it. I think is just a little bit more compelling than the natural. If I'm honest, they're pretty similar. The thing about the amaretto is once this has been polished up, or if you apply a little bit of Venetian cream, it really brings out a lot of those reddish orange tones. It gives it sort of a nice, almost like a sunset look that I very much enjoy. So amaretto shell cordovan, my favorite shell cordovan color. We've got this one here in a great color combination. So raw amaretto on the outside with a blue stitch. And then the interior, we have cobalt blue Dublin, which I think goes very nicely with that sort of orangey look on the outside. And I have one more raw natural shell cordovan piece to show you. Again, this is a great leather choice for somebody that wants a really dramatic patina. And it starts off that raw look that I've been mentioning. It doesn't have that bright shiny luster like a normal piece of shell, but it will develop to be that nice glassy surface. But also the color tends to change and deepen and darken a very dramatic amount. It almost turns a little bit more golden brown just with normal use. And on this one, we've combined everything with the lightest colors that we can get. So we have the light cream color stitching on the outside with the natural latigo on the inside. All right, these wallets turned out surprisingly well. I've got a couple more texture pieces of shell cordovan, but this time on the black color. So this is gator texture on the black shell cordovan. All the shell cordovan is very nice. The tannery actually does not sell it by grade. They only send good stuff, but every now and then you get something that's extra nice. So there's something to this leather. It just has a really dense feel to it, but it's also very rich and supple at the same time. It's just got a really nice feel on this leather. I don't know really how to describe it. And then the texture of the gator is very interesting. So we have these larger scales on the outside right of this particular one. And you can see some of the smaller ones on the left here. And on the edges of this wallet, we have a black finish and then black horsehide latigo on the interior. So very nice blacked out look with this black gator shell cordovan. And the other one I was hinting at, this is another texture on the black shell. Something magical about these two pieces of black shell. This is the lizard texture on the black shell cordovan. You can see the scales are much finer on the lizard, very small. It almost reminded me of a stingray leather when I was looking at it right here. It's a really nice looking texture on this wallet. We also have those black edges on this Giant of the Fox, and then the black horsehide latigo on the interior. And of course, we tried to hide the Horween shell cordovan ink stamp into the bill slot. Two more wallets to look at. I'm saving the best for last, or my favorites for last. Color number 4 shell cordovan here with a cream color stitch. For many years, color number 4 shell was my favorite shell cordovan color until that amaretto shell cordovan came around. Color number 4 is roughly half as dark as the color 8 shell. So it's a medium brown with nice reddish, sort of reddish orange undertones. And this also has that really dramatic and dynamic color range. So as I spin this one around, you can see a little bit lighter, a little bit more vibrant at this angle, and a little bit darker and more brown at this angle. I find that completely fascinating just to spin the leather around and look at the color change. This one has that cream color stitching that I mentioned, and on the interior, we have reverse color 8 shell cordovan, also with cream stitching. I don't think we've done many reverse interiors with cream stitching, but this one looks really nice. And last but not least, I absolutely love this wallet. This is a leather, also shell cordovan, that we've been calling blood orange. And what this actual story here is, this was a dip-dyed amaretto shell cordovan that turned out a little bit darker and more red. So if you look in the bill slot here, you can tell it was dip-dyed because the reverse side of the leather is that really vibrant orange tone. Very nice look there. We actually make a lot of wallets with this side flipped around just because people really like that vibrant orange shade. There's something happened on this particular batch where it came out a little bit darker, a little bit more red, and it's got a little bit of modeling in it, which is actually, I find to be very interesting. That little bit of unique variation makes the wallet just a little bit special. So blood orange shell cordovan here, very nice shade, kind of reminds me of a combination between amaretto and color number 4. It's like a little bit more of a vibrant color 4. We have a matching stitching on the outside. We've got nice hand-stained edges to also match. And then on the interior of this one, we've got a nice matching horsehide interior. And this is a Dublin in that same color we were looking at earlier, the chestnut Dublin. Really cool Johnny the Fox here. And I like the horsehide latigos personally. I think they're just a better choice generally speaking, but it also keeps the price down quite a bit. I like the horsehides because they're naturally thinner than most of the shells. So it gives you this really great sitting profile in your pocket. Doesn't really bulk up as much. I like to put more than 1 or 2 cards in each slot. I'll actually do 2 or 3 in most slots. So having a little bit of a thinner leather, like a naturally thin horsehide, makes the wallet in horsehide just a little bit better for my personal taste. A lot of people want a full shell wallet, however. So thanks for checking out everything in the video today. Some really great stuff. I'm very excited to see the blood orange here. And then again, there was something about these textured black shells, especially this one here, that this little section on the top right kind of reminded me of some stingray leather that we worked with a bunch of years ago, and it's a really great look, something special in these black shells. So we got more stuff coming later this week. So thanks for checking out the video today. Let me know which one of these was your favorite. Maybe it's the blood orange, because that turned out really well. All right, until next time, hope you guys have a good one and take care.